Today we're going to be talking about Parmenides, the pre-Socratic Parmenides. And remember, when we're talking about pre-Socratic philosophy, ancient Greek philosophy, it's philosophy that not only started in Greek but started in the whole region surrounding Greek. That is, it really started over in what's now part of Turkey, which was then called Ionia, in Miletus, with Thales and Anaximander and Anaximenes, and maybe it started somewhere else in the neighborhood there, but this is our first, at least recorded, history of philosophy. And in addition to which, they were all Greek colonies, that is, Greek-speaking colonies in that part of Turkey, Ionia, in Greece itself, the big cities being Athens and Sparta, and over through to the western side of the Mediterranean through Italy and Sicily. Now, Parmenides was a native of Elia. You guys know where Elia is? Probably not. I don't think it exists anymore. But Elia was a Greek city in southern Italy. So for those of us in the class who are of Italian ancestry, you can take some pride in that Parmenides was one of your guys, although maybe you're going to find this view so weird that maybe you're not going to be so proud. I would be proud. I think Parmenides was quite an influential guy back in ancient Greece. And Ilia is somewhat south of the present-day city of Naples, about 70 some odd miles south. He was born in about 515 BC. These are approximations. And Parmenides is the first guy that we're going to talk about where we really have a significant piece of what he has written. Up till this point, we've been relying on historical records of other philosophers and historians of philosophy and scattered fragments of what the actual individuals had said or were quoted to have said. But here we actually have fragments of a poem that Parmenides wrote. And keep in mind, back in those days, and what makes some of the pre-Socratic philosophy very difficult to understand is they were really following in the tradition of Homer and Hesiod, and since Homer and Hesiod had such great followings, I guess they decided to try to be clever and write in poetry as well. So Parmenides' great work consists of a poem that has two parts. They're going to be called the two ways, and right now we have about 154 lines of this poem, and most of it, or almost all of it, is from the first part. And actually, experts, the scholars, think that about 90% of the first part has survived. So we have a pretty good idea of what this poem is, and you guys may have read it already. If not, you should be reading it. I think it's going to be pretty difficult to, without thinking about it a lot, with a lot of help from our scholarly friends, figure out exactly what the point is. But the two parts of the poem correspond to what Parmenides called the two ways. One was the way of seeming and the other one was the way of truth. You guys can figure it out. Which is the right one that we're worried about? The way of truth. Which is the bad way? The way of seeming. But we'll say more about that as we progress.